I never imagined my life would transform through these heartwarming animated adventures. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. One moment, I was just sitting in my room, the hum of a forgotten cartoon buzzing in the background, and the next, I was spiraling into a world I could hardly comprehend. Cartoon characters danced on the screen, but suddenly, they were so much more than that. They leaped out at me, colors swirling, voices beckoning, as if they wanted me to join their vibrant realm. It felt surreal, my heartbeat racing in tandem with the frantic scenes unfolding before my eyes. I could smell popcorn, the buttery scent hanging in the air, mixing with the sweet tang of childhood nostalgia. I could hear the characters laughing and crying, their emotions striking chords deep within me. I had long tucked away my imagination beneath the weight of reality, but there I was, breathless, rediscovering forgotten dreams. In the midst of this chaos, I remained acutely aware of my own unhappiness. The silence in my house contrasted sharply with the animated uproar. My parents were fighting again. The walls shook with their anger, their words sharp as knives, cutting through the very air that felt suffocating. I trembled, feeling the familiar lump in my throat. My fingers twitched nervously, wishing for peace. A peace I never knew how to find. It wasn't just the noise, it was the weight of my own loneliness that gripped me. I wanted to dive into that world on the screen, where colors didn't fight and hearts didn't break. Friends, love, family, what did they even mean when my reality felt like a shadow of a cartoon? Then, a flicker caught my eye. One character, a small animated fox with shimmering emerald eyes, winked at me as if acknowledging my pain. It was so bizarre, so unreal. I blinked, hoping to shake off the absurdity, but the fox remained, vibrant and alive in a way that sent chills down my spine. Was I losing my mind? Or were these adventures leading me somewhere? Before I could contemplate this further, the screen flickered violently, dark colors bleeding into light as the energy around me shifted, the world I thought I knew collapsing into fragments. I felt a pull, a steady tug at my very core, as if the animated fox was beckoning me to follow. I teetered on the edge of this new reality, heart racing, pulse echoing in my ears. What lay ahead? I could feel destiny breathing down my neck, tantalizingly close yet terrifyingly unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The pull was irresistible. As the vibrant hues of the animated world engulfed me, I braced myself for the drop into something unknown. The transition wasn't painful, yet it felt like I was being gently squeezed through a narrow crevice, the familiar and the strange blending into a storm of colors and sensations. I landed softly in a meadow that burst with life. Flowers danced in breezy melodies, their petals shimmering like jewels under the sun's gaze. But excitement evaporated instantly as I became acutely aware of a profound emptiness. The animated fox had vanished, leaving behind silence that pressed against my ears like a heavy blanket. Where was the exuberant joy I had chased into this realm? As I tried to orient myself, memories of home seeped back into my thoughts like ink in water. The arguing, the feeling of being trapped in a never-ending cycle of disappointment here, in this vibrant place that promised hope. How could those shadows still linger? I sank to the ground, the vibrant grass a stark contrast to my heavy heart. Moments later, a soft rustling broke my despair. I turned to see a small, timid rabbit emerging from the brush. Its fur was the most delicate shade of lilac, and it looked at me with wide, trusting eyes. "Are you lost?" it asked in a voice so gentle it seemed to wash over my pain. I nodded, surprised at how words escaped my lips with ease in this strange world. "Don't worry," it continued, inching closer. "It happens here sometimes. Sometimes you just need to find your friends." Friends. I remembered the warmth of companionship in the cartoons, the laughter shared over silly antics. My heart twisted in longing. Those moments felt out of reach, yet so close I could almost hear their echoes. Together, we ventured through the meadow, the rabbits sharing little tidbits about the land, a glimmering river to the north, towering trees that whispered secrets, and a village where voices giggled like the bellows of animated spirits. Each description coaxed a smile from my lips, awakening a sense of adventure that had lain dormant for far too long. But the shadows of doubt returned as we approached the edge of the meadow. What if I didn't find what I was looking for? What if this world was just another illusion, another distraction from the chaos back home? My heart drummed a rapid rhythm that echoed my trepidation. "You seem sad," the rabbit said, stopping to look at me. "It's okay. You don't have to pretend here." I hesitated, but then opened up, sharing snippets of my struggles. The rabbit listened, unhurried, nodding with an understanding beyond its years. And just as the warmth of connection began to thaw some of my sorrow, an explosion of color erupted nearby, followed by laughter, a sound filled with mirth, but tinged with a harsh edge. My heart sank further. I turned to the rabbit, confusion swirling in my chest. "What was that?" It's the village," it said softly, fear creeping into its voice. "They're having a celebration. But be careful, sometimes too much joy comes with too much noise." A choice lay before me, to seek solace in laughter or to retreat into my shadows. I took a breath, deciding that maybe it was time to embrace the chaos not as an escape, but as an opportunity to reclaim my voice. As we approached the village, the sounds of joy grew louder, mingled with bursts of firecrackers and the jubilant yells of animated figures. But then, as I stepped into the heart of the celebration, a chill ran down my spine. A figure cloaked in darkness stood on a distant hill, watching with an unnerving intensity. My heart sank. Had the tumult of my reality followed me here? The laughter twisted in my ears, a seductive promise of acceptance shadowed by the haunting presence of the unknown. Shadows once again crept back into my mind, and as I clutched the rabbit's paw, I could feel the weight of my fears burying my newfound hope. What if I was never truly free? What if this world was merely a mirage masking the truth behind my heartbreak? The celebration pulsated with energy, colors igniting the air around me like a constellation of dreams. Yet, that figure, draped in shadows, sapped the vibrancy from the scene. Laughter and joy rang hollow as I glanced back and forth between the colorful festivities and the ominous watcher looming outside the merry throng. "Look," the rabbit said, eyes brimming with wonder. "We could join in. It might make you feel better." Despite the rabbit's enthusiasm, unease coiled in my stomach like a serpent. But the pull of the crowd was intense, inviting me to partake in the vibrant expressions of happiness. I took a hesitant step forward just as one of the villagers caught sight of me, a bright, vivacious figure with a crown of flowers atop its head. "Oh, a newcomer. Come join us," the figure shouted, sweeping me into the flow of dance with a buoyancy that seemed to drown out the chill from the shadows. Around us, villagers leaped, twirled, and clapped, their arms raised towards the sky in unison. I mirrored their abandon, letting the rhythm seep into my bones, momentarily forgetting the figure that loomed outside the celebration. But the joy felt tainted, the laughter unsteady. With every jump and clap, I felt the darkness' unrelenting grip. My heart raced, caught in a tug-of-war between the jubilation around me and the dread pulling at my insides. As one swing turned too wild, I found myself stumbling away from the jubilant villagers, breathless and shaken. The rabbit scurried to my side, its lilac fur offering a sense of solace amidst the chaos. "What's wrong?" It was so good, wasn't it? It tried to mask its concern with an enthusiastic bounce, but I could see the worry etched in its eyes. I can't. I thought I could just let go, but I keep feeling that weight," I confessed, my voice trembling. The rabbit's ears drooped slightly, understanding my struggle, but unable to fix the chasm within me. "Happiness can be heavy," it said softly, nudging my side. "When we carry pain, even joy can feel like a burden. But maybe there's a way to carry both." Its sentiment was tender, but I felt a wave of uncertainty crash over me. Was I supposed to juggle joy and sorrow? The thought seemed impossible. After a moment of silence, I turned my gaze towards the figure perched on the hill. It still watched, unmoving. Tension crept back into my chest. What if the darkness is just waiting for me to falter? What if I don't have the strength to face it? The rabbit looked up at me with wide eyes, a flicker of determination igniting in its small form. Then we face it together, it rallied, drawing closer. You've come so far already. You can't let fear steal this moment from you. My heart swelled at its brave words, but doubt crept back with a chilling whisper as I blinked at the dark figure across the village. Was it truly so simple? A commotion shook the air. Flames burst up from the ground in a brilliant display, lighting the sky. Gasps and cheers erupted, but I could only stare, entranced, as a firework exploded above, revealing more silhouettes among the already vibrant throng. Beneath the celebration's facade, I sensed discord, unrest festering behind closed smiles. Then I felt a sudden warmth in my palm. The rabbit squeezed my hand, its touch urging me toward the joy that felt so distant. It was a reminder that hope could flicker even in darkness. One dance, just one, it insisted, pulling me back toward the festivities with unyielding determination. Reluctantly, I succumbed, moving to the rhythm once again, this time more mindful of my surroundings. The laughter enveloped me, yet a part of my mind kept drifting back to the figure on the hill. It felt like a tether to my fears, a constant reminder of the shadows that could eclipse the light. Just then, a haunting howl rippled through the village, silencing the laughter in an instant. Every villager froze, shadows deepening across the colorful landscape. Panic ignited in my chest as I turned towards the hill, my heart pounding like a drum. The cloaked figure had moved closer, now screaming out a name, a word that sent chills through my veins. Fiona. A gasp spread through the villagers, and I felt the ground beneath me tremble. Who is Fiona? Why did it sound so familiar? The laughter scattered like leaves before a storm, replaced by whispers and fearful glances. My mind reeled with confusion. This world felt as fragile as the flames that flickered above. It was both vivid and perilously close to unraveling. Just when it seemed I might reclaim a shred of joy, the realization settled like an anchor in my heart. Perhaps the darkness was not merely an observer, it was a part of my story, and now it had returned to drag me back into its cold embrace. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as the name echoed in the stillness, ricocheting off the vibrant walls of color and laughter that had just moments ago felt like an embrace. Fiona. It wove through the air like a haunting melody, resonating with something deep within me, a lost thread that yearned to be pulled. The rabbit clutched my hand tightly, its eyes wide with concern. Do you know who that is? It whispered, its voice barely audible over the sudden hush that had swallowed the celebration. I shook my head, the name sending a tremor through my very being, yet I felt the tug of recognition hovering tantalizingly close, just out of reach. The cloaked figure stood at the edge of the festivities, the shadows around it deepening like storm clouds. With each breath, I felt the distance shrink between its menacing presence and the joyous remnants of the celebration. What does it want? I murmured, fear lacing my words. Before the rabbit could respond, the figure took a step forward, revealing a face obscured by a hood, its eyes glinting like shards of glass. Fiona. It called again, the voice resonating with despair that rippled through my chest. You cannot escape me. Your destiny awaits. The chill in the air swept over me, a reminder of all I'd been running from, the shadows that loomed behind every smile, every moment of fleeting joy. This was not just a celebration, this was a reckoning, a confrontation with the darkness I had managed to avoid. The villagers began to murmur in hushed tones, glancing nervously at one another. Fear tainted the colors that had brightened the night, turning joy into somber disbelief. I could feel their eyes darting toward me, confusion and concern mingling in the air. They were waiting for a signal, a sign of reassurance from the Simeon who had just arrived, yet seemed so entwined in this chaos. I don't know who Fiona is. I shouted suddenly, my voice tinged with fear and frustration. I'm not her. I'm just a traveler. My words hung heavy in the air, a plea for the shadows to recede as I grappled with the forces that sought to pull me back. The figure stepped closer, the shadows swirling ominously as it drew nearer to the edge of the celebration. You cannot deny who you are, it murmured, its voice now a mere whisper that cut through the tense atmosphere. Fiona resides within you, and she will always return to claim what is hers. My heart raced, the weight of its proclamation crashing over me like icy waves. I gripped the rabbit's hand harder, seeking comfort in its warmth. What does it mean? I asked, desperation clawing at my throat. The rabbit could only tremble by my side, its little heart no doubt echoing the chaos of my own. Then, something unexpected occurred. One of the villagers bravely stepped forward, a woman with vibrant flowers woven into her hair. "You're not alone," she called out, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "We are all shaped by our past. If you are indeed Fiona, let us help you face what lies ahead." Hope flickered in my chest, fragile yet fierce like the first rays of dawn. I caught the gaze of others who were beginning to rally around the woman, each one stepping forth in solidarity. Encouragement spread through the crowd like wildfire, lighting small flames of courage in their eyes, but as they formed a protective circle around me, the figure on the hill recoiled ever so slightly, a dark silhouette against the magnificent spectacle of impending fireworks. It seemed to absorb their words, but its eyes narrowed, calculating and waiting. "You may try to shield her with bravery," it hissed, "but the truth always surfaces. Your choices will haunt you, Fiona. You cannot run forever." With that, the shadows surged, swallowing the colorful lanterns hanging overhead and dimming the village's vibrancy. I felt a tug in my heart, almost like a connection threading the past with the present. The overwhelming rush of emotions enveloped me: fear, confusion, and the startling weight of something profound hidden within the name Fiona. Suddenly, a blinding light burst from the center of the gathering, a firework exploding with dizzying brilliance that momentarily cast away the darkness. I closed my eyes against the glare, taking in the mixture of gasps and awe from the villagers. Yet deep down, a shadow lingered of fear that in illuminating the night, the darkness would not flee but simply retreat, waiting for the moment I would falter. As I opened my eyes to the eruption of colors, I caught the figure's gaze fixated on me, its intent as sharp as ever. That moment, I felt an undeniable truth settle in my chest. I had to confront whatever awaited in the past, lest it consume the light that had ignited within me. But even as the villagers rallied around me with their warmth, shadows crept closer, and a chilling voice broke through the newfound courage, whispering the name once more. Fiona. My heart sank as the realization washed over me like a cruel wave. This dance had only just begun, and the path ahead promised more than I could bear. The vibrant crackle of fireworks pierced the night, illuminating the fear etched across my face as I turned to the rabbit, seeking reassurance. Its small body trembled, and its fur bristled against my fingers. "What do I do?" I breathed, panic clawing at my insides. The villagers were no longer mere spectators. They looked at me as if I held the key to some secret destiny. "Trust yourself," the rabbit urged, its voice steady despite the tremors. "You haven't lost your identity. It's tangled in a web of love and fear, but you must unravel it to find your truth." The darkness loomed behind me, and every face turned towards the figure felt like a collective gaze, waiting for a response. I felt exposed, stripped of my traveler's shield, bare before the challenges that thrummed within me. "But what if I can't?" I whispered, fear choking my voice, the urgency of the figure's summons echoing in my heart. The surrounding villagers held their ground, still emboldened by their earlier courage. A tall man with deep-set eyes spoke up. "You have not come this far to turn back now. Let us stand beside you. Whoever this Fiona is, we will help you face it. You don't have to do it alone." His words resonated like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. The darkness stirred, a shiver running through it, as if it, too, recognized the rising support around me. I was not just a traveler. I was part of a living tapestry stitched together against the shadows that sought to tear us apart. Suddenly, the figure let out a deceptive chuckle that echoed across the night, a sound filled with both confidence and mockery. "A multitude of voices cannot shield her from the truth," it hissed, eyes flashing like embers caught in a gust. "Fiona's past will unravel your precious community. You should be cautious whom you believe. The villagers began to murmur, uncertainty creeping into their ranks. I felt the weight of their collective fear. The thread of hope from moments before began to fray. I stepped forward, breaking the barrier of supportive bodies. "No!" I shouted, feeling a fiery resolve ignite within me. "This is mine to confront. Fiona is me, but I am not just her. I am more than a name tied to my past." The words left my mouth with an unexpected defiance, and even I was surprised by the power of my conviction. The sinister figure swayed slightly, as if my declaration had caught it off guard. The rabbit hopped aside, eyes bright with inspiration. As I locked my gaze with the cloaked shadow, a torrent of memories surged within me, glimpses of a childhood filled with laughter before despair had twisted my experience. Whatever Fiona had done in the past, I was willing to face it. "What do you want from me?" I demanded, the fire in my chest burning brighter, the figure tilting its head, silencing for a moment as if considering its next move. "What do I want?" it repeated, a smile creeping across its unseen lips. "Only to remind you that the ghosts of your past never truly fade. They patiently await your return." Before I could respond, something flickered behind the looming shadows. Another burst of light shot forth, not from the fireworks, but from an unexpected corner of the festival. A small child with wild curls had dashed to the edge of the gathering, holding aloft a paper lantern that shimmered with a flickering glow against the backdrop of darkness. It was fragile and bright, a small spark of joy amidst the oppressive gloom. "Look! The light!" the child shouted, voice ringing clear and true, drawing the collective gaze of the assembled villagers and the spectral figure alike. It stepped closer, intrigued. That moment infused the atmosphere with an additional pulse of life, slowly weaving a tapestry that conjoined the bravery of the villagers with the flicker of hope I so desperately clung to. I felt a warmth blossoming within, pushing against the chilling weight of uncertainty threatening to envelop me. As the shadows twisted and recoiled, my heart beat in time with the child's laughter, a sweet reminder of innocence I thought had long been extinguished. Warmth poured into the cracks of fear, and I took a halting step toward the tiny beacon of hope that illuminated the night. But just as I began to take another step forward, the cloaked figure exploded forth from the shadows, its hand outstretched, the hollow void of its presence attempting to grip the lantern's light. A visceral chill crept along my skin, and the air thickened as I gasped, feeling the shadow brush against the essence of my very soul. "Your light is in danger, Fiona." It hissed, voice reverberating through me, encapsulating my fear with a haunting certainty. "You must decide, will you hold on to it, or are you prepared to embrace the darkness?" I stood paralyzed, the villagers surrounding me holding their breath, all eyes fixated on the delicate flame of hope that flickered in the child's hands. I was on the edge of something monumental, and the weight of choice bore down upon me, as the truth of my identity slipped through my fingers like grains of sand. The shadows thickened once more, coiling and swirling as the flickering light before me struggled to shine against them. My heart raced in my chest as the question echoed through the chaos. Would I allow fear to extinguish the hope, or would I rise to face the past calling out through the darkness? I had only moments to decide, a choice that would shape not only my destiny, but the very fate of the village surrounding me. The light from the lantern cast trembling rays as I stood there, frozen, the temptation of despair curling itself around me. The child, blissfully unaware of the chaos brewing just behind her innocent joy, clutched the lantern as if it held the entire universe within its frail glass walls. My heart leapt into my throat, wrestling between the dread of history's embrace and the flickering warmth of the village's hope. "There is always a choice, Fiona," the rabbit said softly beside me, a gentle reminder that echoed through my escalating turmoil. "You have already chosen to confront your truth. This moment is part of your journey, but it is yours to navigate." I glanced at the villagers, their faces a mirror of lost dreams and hopes unfulfilled, each bearing an imprint of their own struggles against darkness. They were here for me, a resilient host of support rooted in love, yet the specter was unwavering. The laughter of the child danced around me, a clear bell tolling against the heavy shroud of reality, stirring a resilience within my chest. Let the light grow, I urged, stepping closer to the child, my voice fighting to break through the din of uncertainty. My heart thumped against my ribs, a wild drum echoing defiance to the looming void. Its glow can push away the shadows if we just hold together. The child turned her head, wide-eyed curiosity sparkling in her gaze. Will you help me? She asked, her tiny voice full of hope. It's so bright. Can we keep it alive? With a nod, my pulse began to steady. The village echoed my thoughts, urging me forward. Memories of friendship, laughter, and community rushed back, people who had believed in each other during their darkest moments. The colors of our existence intertwined, delicate threads of unity woven through experiences shared. The figure recoiled, its face a twisted mask of fury and laughter, drawing my attention back as it hissed, "You think the warmth of flames can save you? The past carries a weight that no lantern can hold." "Maybe not just one," I replied, feeling the embers of strength rise within me. "But together, our lights can burn brighter than your shadows." I outstretched my arms, inviting the villagers to connect, to join this moment with their own flickers of hope. One by one, hands reached out to each other, joining their warmth and determination. The air crackled with possibility, and strands of light shimmered, transforming into a constellation of resolve that glimmered in defiance of the darkness. The child raised her lantern high, casting a radiant glow that pushed against the creeping shadows. As if drawn by an unseen force, the figure recoiled from the unyielding light, its voice now mired in desperation. "You cannot shield yourselves forever. I will return, Fiona. You cannot escape." The shadows retaliated, swirling more ferociously, trying to choke out the light, but the villagers' radiance grew, standing united against fear. I could feel the pulse of their collective spirit beating in time with my own. We were more than the depths of despair. We were a tapestry of resilience, wielding the strength of our shared stories against the darkness. "Keep shining. Keep believing," I called out, feeling the weight of my own fears slipping away. In that moment, I became not only Fiona but the embodiment of every flicker of hope that had endured through struggle, every ounce of love that had withstood despair. But just as we thought we might quell the encroaching shadows, a new semblance of darkness surged forward from within the figure, something deeply unsettling. A momentary flicker of doubt crept into my heart as it shaped itself into what looked like familiar faces. Memories spun back into view with jagged edges. "Is this who you truly are?" It rasped, the shadows swirling into faces of friends I had lost. Betrayals worked deep into my consciousness. Echoes of choices unmade flashed before me, moments when I had let fear guide my decisions, when I had turned away from those who needed me most. The moment spiraled, fracturing my resolve. I faltered, grasping at the light of the villagers, watching as the brightness wavered. "No, no," I murmured, panic seeping back in as my internal struggle threatened to crumble that fragile lantern of hope. In that instant, the darkness surged again, washing over the gathered village, drowning out whispers of light. I gasped as realizations crashed over me, paralyzing my next thought. Was it possible that the shadows were right? That perhaps my past, tangled in heartache, could still consume the essence of who I was meant to be? Then, just like before, the child's voice broke through, resilient as ever. "Fiona, please don't give up. Your light is stronger than the shadow." But as I turned to face the village, I sensed something shifting beneath the surface, a realization that eclipsed the illumination we had fought to create. A figure stepped out from the throng, a familiar face I never thought I would see again, one that shifted the very ground I stood on. My breath caught, the world around me dimming as a name echoed softly in my mind: Faye. As Faye stepped forward, the shadows seemed to recoil, as if the very name conjured an ancient strength that had long been dormant. Her presence enveloped me, igniting a cacophony of memory, sunlit laughter, whispered secrets, and the bittersweet tang of friendship lost too soon. The warmth of her light felt etched in my heart, a beacon I had once cherished. "Faye," I whispered, my voice trembling as disbelief clashed with the overwhelming tide of longing. "Is it really you?" Her eyes, deep pools of laughter and warmth, met mine with an intensity that spoke of unspoken apologies and buried emotions. Fiona, she murmured, her voice steady yet soft. I've always been here, even in the darkest times. The villagers buzzed around us, drawn into the gravity of this unexpected reunion. The flicker of our collective lantern glowed brighter, a fragile bubble of shared hope resurrected not solely by the child's innocence, but now magnified by Faye's unwavering spirit. Yet, beneath that glimmering surface lay an unsettling tempest. The shadows still encroached, whispering truths that felt insurmountable, laden with burdens I thought I had buried. The darkness transformed, swirling into threads of anger and sorrow, and manifesting as haunting reflections of my past choices, Faye's eyes hardening for fleeting moments as memories intertwined, pushing forth reminders of neglect and unspoken words. I failed you, I began, the unsteady tremor in my voice betraying the depth of my regret. When you needed me most, I was lost in my own fears. I didn't reach out. Faye stepped closer, a gentle resolve brightening her countenance. We all have our battles, Fiona. Even in the chaos, we were woven together. You have to believe that our light converged for a reason. Her affirmation was a lifeline in the storm. I understood the power of shared struggles and heartaches. We were not singular shadows, but rather threads of resilience in a tapestry woven with imperfections. For a second, the weight of my guilt lifted, urging me closer into her warmth, inviting me to rekindle lost connections. Together, we can face this, she continued, her voice melodic and steady, like a song long forgotten yet familiar. It's not just about us anymore, it's about everyone we love, everyone who believes in the flicker of hope, and in that moment, as Faye's light intertwined with mine, I felt the clarity of purpose ripple through me. Collective grief resonated as whispers of encouragement echoed around us villagers, taking courage from our reunion, rekindling their own embers of hope. Faye and I stood in defiance, our fingers brushing, igniting a spark that could fan into flames, but the spectral figure lunged forth, visibly agitated by our dawning strength. This is futile, it shrieked, agony lacing its hollow voice. You cling to illusions of hope. Your past is a chain that binds you. With each word, the shadows burst forth, revealing stark images, betrayals, and choices that left scars. The atmosphere swung as I felt my heart harden. Flashes of fates I had sidestepped swirled chaotic in the depths. My breath hitched, a familiar sensation of panic creeping in, the whispers lurking with tantalizing doubts. Fiona. The child called again, breaking through the fog that threatened to overtake me. You are more. You can shine brighter. Faye's features softened as she faced me, compassion etched into her expression. You are not defined by your past. You are the light you choose to ignite within. Remember who you are. The mention of my identity lent me strength, an anchor amidst the tempest, flickering against the feverish doubts. I raised my head high, steadying my breath. We are shaped by our scars, but they don't dictate our futures. As I spoke those words, I felt the tremor of hope constricting the shadows as they reached for my soul with icy tendrils. I found myself emptying the weight of guilt into the warmth of shared light. This moment wasn't merely about me. It was about the collective path of healing, about rising from the ashes with every flickering spark that had persisted through the storm. Suddenly, amidst this surge of clarity, I felt a jolt in the air, a seismic shift as I turned my gaze back at Faye. But what about you? How did you find your way back? I asked, the vulnerability threaded with urgency. I thought I lost you forever, because love has no end, Fiona, she replied, stepping closer as the shadows danced around us. It transcends time and even darkness. I've been here more than you know, watching over, trying to guide. As she spoke, the shadows groaned, a tumultuous swell of anger retreating reluctantly before a wave of unity forged between us. But then I noticed something behind her, something that froze my blood. The very figure that had whispered doubts and wielded shadows now paused, unwilling to retreat further. Its voice echoed, each statement a dagger. You are not alone, Fiona. The Dark One knows of the bond shared not just with Faye, but with every soul here. Even behind the light, betrayal lingers, waiting in the dark corners of your heart. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating, and an unsettling thought crept in with it. What if, Just beneath that wave of resolve, I wasn't the only one harboring choices I had yet to confront. What if the shadows entwined deeper than betrayal, beckoning with seductive whispers meant to unveil betrayals I buried away longest? As I shivered, grappling with the possibilities, the shadow shifted, revealing the faces of loved ones long gone, ghosts from my past I had refused to acknowledge. In that moment, as the lights dimmed and Faye's hand slipped in mine, a truth began to unfurl. The lantern flickered precariously, every heartbeat echoing the uncertainty of what was to come. Was it truly a battle against the darkness, or a confrontation with truths I buried deep within? As I stood there, gripping Faye's hand tightly, the ghostly faces flickered like dying embers against the encroaching gloom. They whispered my name, each syllable a reminder of unspoken apologies, unresolved grievances. The assortment of emotions crashed into me: sorrow, guilt, and the thread of uncomfortable understanding that coiled itself around my heart like a serpent. "Fiona," Faye's voice broke through the tremor of dread, steady like the dawn. "Do not let these shadows distort the truth of your journey." Yet, how could I not? The shadows were revealing the depth of my failures, a tapestry threaded with every painful memory I had worked so hard to bury. The faces of Lucy, my high school friend, had disappeared into the night without a trace, and Marco, the brother who had always looked out for me, both loomed larger than the rest. They represented pieces of my life ID never fully unpacked, the fragments of sorrow ID preferred to neglect. "Why are you showing me this?" I choked out, feeling their presence wrap around my mind like frigid fingers. "What do you want from me?" The shadows swept through me, a rush of wind that carried with it echoes of joy, laughter, and the light of lost love. But underneath it all, there lay a palpable sense of fear, the fear of acknowledgement. "Confront it," Faye whispered again, nudging me from my stupor. "To heal is to face the things we've hidden." Look deeper. With Faye's gentle nudge, I forced myself to confront the specters. "Lucy, I should have fought harder to find you. I dismissed your struggles, thinking you were strong enough to handle it yourself." I shouted into the void, desperate for the release of admission. The ghost of Lucy flickered, shimmering with hurt. "I needed you, Fiona. I felt invisible, drowning in my own despair while you carried on. I disappeared because I felt abandoned. If only you had reached out, if only." The realization shattered something deep within me, opening the floodgates of sorrow I had sealed with time. I turned to Marco's ghost, his expression stony yet pleading. "And you, Marco? You carried so much for me, yet I never acknowledged how deeply it hurt you to see me choose friends over family. You stood guard while I turned my back on what truly mattered." "Fiona," he said softly, "it wasn't just you. We all have shadows to face. Don't let the burden of guilt chain you to the past." Tears streamed down my face, a catharsis I hadn't anticipated. But I didn't want to face the truth. I thought forgetting would shield me from the pain. "And that's where you falter," Faye replied. "Pain is part of life. Letting go is not the same as ignoring. It's about recognizing what was and opening up to what can be." The environment shifted, the lanterns dimming, yet the flickering shadows thickened, mingling my sorrow with the brightness I so desperately clung to. As I leaned deeper into the sensations spiraling around me, something unexpected happened. A flicker of warmth began to pulse in my chest, battling the overwhelming darkness that tried to consume me. "Faye, I don't know if I can together," she whispered fiercely, filling me with resolve. "You are not alone in this. Remember, your journey interlaces with the lives of others, and for every pain you've endured, there's a strength waiting to be discovered." I clawed at the shadows, the voices swirling around me now growing faint, their power waning. For every accusation, I paired it with a memory of resilience. The laughter shared with Faye over hot cocoa after a long day. The countless nights spent crying on Marco's shoulder after another breakup that seemed insurmountable. The lighthearted arguments with Lucy about who was the best singer in our favorite band, they all pierced the veil of darkness surrounding me. But then, just as my footing began to solidify and clarity unfolded, another spectral form emerged, a figure cloaked in shadows, one I hadn't recognized until now. "Ah," it hissed, the voice smooth yet chilling. "But what about the darkness you still harbor? Can you truly illuminate without facing your deepest fears?" My heart sank, dread crawling up my spine. What do you mean? I gasped, caught between the newfound flicker of strength and the encroaching terror. Every truth you confront leads to another reflection, Fiona. Are you ready to confront what you desperately wish to forget? The why behind your fears, the truth of your heart? A cry rattled my core, familiar yet foreign. As I braced myself against the storm of shadows trying to close in, a wave of freezing fear crested over me. It tangled with the recent warmth ignited by the rekindling of my spirit and may very well snuff it out. My heart pounded in my chest as I grasped the enormity of what lay ahead. The cliffhanger of my journey loomed uncertain. Would I continue to reclaim my voice, my past, or would the depths of my darkness extinguish the light I was striving to reignite? The shadows pulsed ominously, their chill washing over me like the tide retreating from the shore, only to return more forcefully. I clutched Faye's hand and took a step forward, feeling the warmth of her presence enveloping me, a safe harbor in the storm of memories and fears crashing around us. But the new figure loomed closer, its features briefly piercing the veil of obscurity, a haunting visage that mirrored my deepest anxieties. What do you mean? I whimpered, desperation clawing at my throat. What more can there be to confront? A sardonic smile hung on the figure's lips, sharp and glimmering with the kind of malice that could pierce through even the sturdiest resolve. Look inside yourself, Fiona. The doubts that suffocate you, the guilt that festers, there lies the heart of your true struggle. With trepidation, I closed my eyes tight, drawing breath from the warmth of Faye's hand. Memories, some joyous and others haunting, flooded my mind like a flickering reel of film, images overlapping in chaotic disarray. There was joy and laughter, but also the shadows of loneliness and regret lurking just beneath the surface, a jangling chain of choices that had led me here, every link forged from fear. Faye, I whispered, my voice trembling. I can feel the weight, it's suffocating. What if I'm not strong enough to face this? Fiona, remember how far you've come. Those shadows are not just enemies, they're pieces of you, two parts of your story that hold valuable lessons. Her resolve was steady, a potent balm against my rising panic. As her encouragement pierced the gloom like a lighthouse beacon, I felt a flicker of courage ignite within me. I can't keep running, I breathed, steeling myself to confront that terrifying figure of doubt. I will face whatever it is I have to. Emerging from the depths of my mind, the figure swirled closer, wrapping its form in tendrils of darkness that licked at my consciousness. You think you can walk free simply by confronting your ghosts? What about the shadows that creep behind the mask of your heart? The truth behind why you feel inadequate? I don't know, I stammered. But I want to try. With those words, the dark figure materialized more fully, revealing the face of someone I recognized myself, but contorted and twisted by despair. Eyes glimmered with unshed tears, lips exaggerated into a mournful frown that echoed the anguish I had suppressed. This is the reflection of your heart turned inward, Fiona, it murmured in a soft, taunting voice. Your fears are not only of the past, they are shaped by the present. Why do you feel unworthy of love, friendship, support? Why do you keep people at arm's length? The question hung heavily in the air, each word resonating like a gong striking deep truths within me. My heart raced, and I knew I would need to dig deeper than I ever had before. I've always felt different, I managed to utter, a rush of vulnerability washing over me. Like I didn't belong. I thought that if I didn't lean on others, I wouldn't be a burden. But perhaps I was the one creating my own shadows. The dark figure's expression shifted, a mere flicker of sorrow weaving through its cruel facade. And therein lies the revelation that terrifies you. What if those who love you truly want to share the burden? What if you let go of the chains you've forged? I felt Faye's grip tighten around me, her unwavering belief providing me the strength I needed to plumb the depths of my own being. If I could just let go, I breathed, the words dancing on the brink of a breakthrough. Tell that to the girl inside you who cried alone, the figure countered, the weight of unspoken pain crashing into my chest. Tears streamed down my cheeks, painful reminders of the loneliness I had fought so hard to escape. I lost sight of what it meant to be vulnerable, I lamented, more to myself than anyone else. I pushed people away, fearing if I let them in, they might leave me too. The dark figure's face softened, melding into a look of understanding, grief mirroring my own. Then give the girl inside you the chance to feel that warmth once more. But first, suddenly, the darkness thickened, swarming around us as though eager to reclaim me. You must accept the very essence of your fears, it warned, its voice barely audible over the rising torrent. Are you ready to face this? And just when I thought I was gaining ground, a new memory jolted into focus, one that struck a deeper nerve than the others. A sudden flash of betrayal, whispered arguments, and an image I had long buried beneath the rubble of my heart. My ex-best friend's face filled my mind, twisting and contorting with resentment. You were never enough, were you? An icy voice echoed through the void, the familiar sting rendering me momentarily paralyzed. What if this is no longer just an internal battle? I murmured, panic rising higher than ever before. What if I lose everything I hold dear? As the shadows closed in, Faye pulled me closer, her unwavering spirit igniting a spark of hope against the encroaching darkness. You're strong, Fiona. You can engage with these moments, not escape them. This may be the very catalyst for your transformation, but just as resolve surged through me, an earth-shattering truth pierced the ambience like a hot knife through ice. A shadowed voice, deeper and more sinister than the others, reverberated throughout the space. You might face the shadows of your past, but there are darker secrets yet to come, truths that will shatter your world. What if they find you before you're ready? The ground beneath my feet trembled as the realization hit me. As I waded deeper into my fears, a storm was brewing outside, this emotional realm, a looming threat that could unravel everything I held close. I had taken steps towards healing, but I was also aware that the darkest shadows had yet to be revealed, and I was hurtling toward a precipice, the edge barely visible through the growing curtain of uncertainty. With my heart racing, I turned to Faye, searching her eyes for answers. But as the chilling whispers intensified, the looming inevitability clawed at my guts like a malignant vine, ready to devour me whole. The truth of my life was becoming more complex, a harrowing narrative still unwritten, and all I could hold onto was the pulse of hope deep within me, as the shadows threatened to extinguish even that tiny flicker. In the immediate aftermath of that declaration, the air crackled with tension, a potent mix of anxiety and defiance swirling around us. Faye's hand remained warm and solid in mine, and I drew courage from it. As the memories twisted and turned in my mind, the shadows coiled tighter, almost as if they could sense my hesitation. The swirling darkness loomed, unfurling memories I had hoped to bury deep below the surface, the echoes of broken friendships, lost opportunities, choices I feared I could never reclaim. They whispered and hissed, mockery hidden beneath a compassionate veneer, breathing life into every uncertainty I thought I had conquered. You think you can stand against the truth of your past, the shadow figure taunted, its voice a chilling whisper threaded with venom. You will find that you are but a vessel of pine, a constellation of mistakes waiting to unravel. What do you truly believe you can overcome? The memories pressed against my heart, each moment illuminating paths not to Kina, wretched sobering of reality. Flickers of joy turned into reminders of sadness. I attempted to respond, my voice trembling, haunted by the specters surrounding me. But I could feel the pulse of Faye's love enveloping me, tucking gently behind my armor when words wouldn't suffice. I met her gaze, feeling a flicker of determination scaffold my insecurity. I'm not just the pain. In the choices I've made, the lessons I've learned because of them. The shadows drew closer, the echoes of their laughter curling around us like a thick mist. But Faye stepped forward, eyes ablaze with conviction. These memories are not chains, Fiona. They are bridges. You can't erase the past, but you can choose how to navigate through it. I took a deep breath and stepped closer, wading through the pool of darkness, my heart thrumming with resolve. I refuse to let these shadows dictate my future. Each of these memories, painful as they are, belong to me, and I can transform hurt into strength. My voice sharpened, crystallizing into unwavering conviction. You're not my executioner. You are part of my story. The darkness recoiled at my words, the shadows swirling. Glimpses of my past rose like phantoms that were both haunting and cocooning. Yet woven within those haunting figures stood reminders of all that I could still become, If only I had the courage to untangle what I felt had defined me. Let's release them, I urged, feeling the stir of energy cascading through my veins. Let's forge a new story from these threads of hurt and hope. Together. As those words resonated through the chaotic space, I could almost hear the fabric of time shifting. The shadows seemed startled by the vibrations of my newfound resolve. Behind me, the tether of light flickered brighter once more, invigorated by the bonds forged in vulnerability. The dark figure wailed, recoiling as though caught in the brightness of our combined determination. Your light cannot strengthen those fragile threads. Each shining piece you wield will only dim under the weight of what is already lost. It screeched, fury lacing its tone, but the pulse of the villagers around us anchored me in unfathomable strength. They were not mere witnesses, they were companions on this journey, illuminating the way forward together, armed with courage. You're wrong, I countered, my voice strong, trembling only with the movement of power surging forth. These are not chains. I can embrace my past without letting it mold my future into darkness. I'll honor the fading lights of those I've loved, even those I've lost, but I will not let it bind me. A warmth spread through the group, a shared heartbeat igniting the light between us. Their memories do not die with betrayal, they live on in every step I take to evolve. The flare of lights danced across this dimension, smudging the shadows, igniting a brilliant glow that surged and swirled around us, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. In that moment, the world erupted into color. Had I realized the depths of our collective light, it melded with mine, radiating warmth that shimmered against every specter tucked away in my heart. The shadows shrieked and twisted, trembling trepidation coursed through the swirling facade. I narrowed my focus on the dark figure before me, feeling the surge of strength coursing through every part of my being. Together, we are more than just remnants of what once was. We are the echoes of resilience. With every ounce of certainty I could muster, I held onto the shimmering threads of my memory bonds laced with love, laughter, sorrow, and joy. They were no longer burdens. They were woven into an intricate part of my identity. The shadows began to twist and fade, retreating as the warmth of courage enveloped us. Every flicker ignited even the darkest corners, burning away sorrow, forging new ground out of long-forgotten tenderness. Faye's smile radiated hope, weaving into the shimmering backdrop of empowered souls cloaked in bravery. Let them go, I whispered, my heart racing, feeling the weight of camaraderie and strength swell within me. Let them guide me forward rather than hold me back. In that moment, the darkness shuddered violently, retreating beneath the waves of our unit, the tendrils of shadow twisting back, recoiling in anguish as the brilliance unfolded. Our light pierced the dimness, bold and untarnished. In that second of breathtaking clarity, I realized that I wasn't merely confronting shadows. I was weaving a new tapestry, a vibrant blend of all that had shaped me, unafraid of embracing either the light or the dark as an essential part of this journey. Fiona, Faye murmured, pride glimmering in her gaze, this is your moment. This is where acceptance blossoms. With renewed assurance, I let the memories swell like a lighthouse illuminating the night's heart. I was no longer lost within that illusion of pain. Rather, I was ready to embrace every part of the intricate facets of living, a sweetness, the sorrow, the warmth, the hurt. And just as clarity illuminated the dark corners around us, I felt the shift. The darkness began to unravel, fading as the shadows melted away into the undercurrent of light we offered, filling every space with flickering stars of hope. Fiona. The echoes melded around me, memories merging into a soothing symphony of belonging. Villagers joined in, creating a manifestation of laughter, tears, love, and connection, shaping the very core of life as the spectral truths diminished, like a melting canvas of shadows once feared. Thank you for coming back, whispered the ghostly faces of friends who had entered this journey with me, their warmth pulsating justice into every fragment of fear I had been reclaiming. You are worthy, you always were. Emotions swept through me, unearthing every trace I dared not acknowledge. I am worthy, I said. Cascading warmth resonated deep within as my heart widened in acceptance. and I will honor this journey with love. In the end, they transformed into a chorus of echoes, brilliant whispers reminding me that my pain was valid, but not my end. I could transcend the hurt because within every experience, meaning could bloom like a flower spurred from the ashes of storms. Exhilaration soared around us as I savored the triumph of love and acceptance mingling in the air. Embracing every emotion once again, I stood tall, no longer tethered by shame or fear. I stepped forth into the warmth of a brilliant dawn. A profound rebirth awakened within me. "There is always hope in the light," I whispered, allowing the words to breathe life into the atmosphere, and I stepped forward, amidst laughter of friends and light that permeated the air, each flicker illuminating the truth. The shadows, while once menacing, had shaped me into who I now sought to become. I was Fiona, but I was so much more as well, a vibrant chronicle of every single flicker, color, and thread that had wound through my life. And as the final flickers bathed me in warmth, I knew with every beat in my heart that I would rise to meet whatever awaited me, a choir of luminous memories whispering victory over the darkness, united in a shimmering dance of light. I would carry their legacy into tomorrow's canvas, forever changed yet beautifully whole. As we forged ahead, a promise sparked within me, a promise that in embracing every facet of my spirit, I would always continue to choose the light. And with that thought fading into the distance, I took my first step toward tomorrow, knowing it would never again be shrouded in fear. "I am Fiona," I declared softly, the journey now gilded with purpose. "And I will always shine."